G'day everyone, I am not Smokescreen, and if you're surprised at seeing this upload, well, surprise, Trackside Lounge is back. And it's back, but it's not. I mean, it's, obviously life sort of happened, and, Smock moved house, and Atom had a kid, and I got engaged, and before you know it, days become weeks, become months, and goodness, it's been a couple of years since this channel's uploaded anything, but I'm back. I'm Nathan, and joined with me, we've got a bit of a new team with Atom and Smoke's blessing. I did reach out and say to them, hey, look, I'm looking at doing something pretty cool. Do you mind if I use the channel? And they said, well, we're not doing anything. Go nuts. So
hang on, so we're the nuts, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of nuts.
We're the nuts. So bit of a new personnel. We'll look at having them, sort of having them back at some point and involved in bits and pieces. But for the here and the now, I got obviously radio DJ legend, Speedway, whatever you want to call him, Nik Brown.
Whatever you want to call it. Hi. We'll leave it at that. And the other one is head of Hooncorp.
Yeah.
Mike Howe.
So, yes, great to be part of. I've actually watched the Trackside Lounge quite a few times over the years, and the boys are doing what they did, which was primarily sim racing. But of course, it's not about just sim racing now. We're going to spread the web a little bit wider.
The interesting thing, though, and Nathan, I'm going to bring you up on this one about sim racing. If you've ever wanted to get involved in motorsport and thought to yourself, oh, geez, I can't get a car. I just don't know where to do it, and you don't know how to get involved, sim racing is actually a great place to start.
Yeah, well, I mean, you remember sort of like days gone by, if you're a young driver with ambition, what did your path look like? It was go-karts, and then it was Formula Fords, and then there might be some regional open wheelers, and then you might go to Europe, and that sort of thing. But these days we're seeing it more and more where sim racing's becoming not necessarily the entryway, but certainly it's a lot easier to practice and to sort of get experience.
And that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, any type of motorsport, you talk to anyone, it's all about track time, seat time in the car. That's what gives you your confidence, teaches you things, and if there's any way of accelerating that, it's got to be good, right?
Oh, absolutely. And, teams spend ridiculous sums on having their own simulators, much less the stuff that, you and I can just walk out and buy a wheel and a rig and a gaming console. These guys have some pretty high-end, obviously sim racing, it's easy to sort of think gaming and fun, and there is fun to be had with it. I mean, any of us could jump in a V8 supercar and run around the Hamilton Street Circuit right now.
I'm going to stop you there. I mean, sim or not, I pretty much put my hand up and say, no, that ain't going to happen. Or I've tried it and it doesn't happen. Go around the street circuit. God, I don't even make the first corner. Enough of that. But one of the things that what it's good to highlight out, and what we actually want to cover with the Trackside Lounge this time is grassroots motorsport, how you get involved with motorsport, because getting involved is a key thing. There are so many things, specifically for young people out there with motor vehicles, doing things that are a bit risky and a bit hairy on the streets. It's dangerous for themselves, it's dangerous for people that want to go out and watch it, and it's also illegal and people frown on it. So if there's something you can do to make it a bit easier to get involved in motorsport, because God knows we love it. Right here in New Zealand, we have a great history for motorsport. I mean, right from dirt track racing through to Formula One, which brings us to the first subject I want to cover off. Formula One in the weekend, Melbourne Grand Prix. Liam Lawson gets his first run in a Red Bull. What happened?
Yeah. Well, he didn't really get a run, did he? He missed out on a third of his practice, and that put him on the back foot for quali. And then everybody wondered why he got knocked out in Q1, and then from there it was he's pretty much on struggle street.
Well, I'm going to stop the periods, because I will point out right now, A, we've said this is all about grassroots motorsport, and B, about sim racing. If Formula One is neither, what are we doing? We're starting with completely opposite.
You've got to start somewhere to end up in Formula One, Mike,
okay,
right?
Fine.
Jeez. Yeah. We're creating the pathways. Jeez, I'm sorry. There's always a negative person.
We used to be indecisive, but now we're not sure.
Well, Lawson was doing 2K Cup, and he was doing all the sort of grassroots stuff that New Zealand had to offer before he went to
got the call,
Wings and Slicks. So, I mean, it is possible. It can happen.
So let's get back to it. Here's my question. They both, Max Verstappen and Liam Lawson, didn't do so well on the first day in Melbourne. Max Verstappen ends up coming third. As you said, problems with Liam Lawson's car and issues. Here's my question. is Max Verstappen's a golden boy for the Red Bull team, and Liam Lawson, he's a great driver, so let's give him all the wonky shit and see what happens.
Well, Max came second.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, he did well. I mean, he really flew, and right towards the end, and they were saying, if the track was going to dry out and everything, and time was a bit more, he'd be up there. He would have taken on Lando. I mean, he got down to half a second or thereabouts with the DRS. So, but that's the time to shine. Is right at the end of the show. You've got to be able to take in and survive those bad conditions.
In the build-up to it, I mean, there was so much riding on Liam Lawson's shoulders from our point of view. Do you think that Red Bull actually thought, well, Max is the golden man for the moment, so we'll give him all the good stuff, let him sort it all out, and all the stuff we want to try, we'll try on Liam's car, because he's a great driver, and he'll be able to sort some little wrinkles out for us. First race of the season doesn't really matter at this stage.
Yeah, well, I think the one thing I remember about Liam is that, and this is something that sort of hit home with me, is that he's still a rookie. He has never done Australia before in a Formula One car.
Yeah.
So, and I had, and to be honest, I think it was Helmut Marko was actually saying that himself. He wasn't trying to make excuses. He was being quite matter of fact. I was saying to Nath before, out of all the 4 Red Bull cars, the Red Bull main and the junior team, only one car scored points. Yuki finished 12th. Liam was classified 14th, I think it was. Both got no points. So
and Isaac Hajar crashed out on the formation lap.
On the formation lap. So the only points they get was Max, finishing second. Yep. But, I mean, I know that we've all... I mean, I hear these disgusting things about people laughing at, Liam's demise and things like that. But the guy is... And no excuse, spade a spade, give him call him what he is. He's a rookie. And, I mean, in that particular track, you're in the limelight. Everything could have gone wrong. He survived some pretty crappy conditions to finally have... And, I mean, the onboard of the incident that he had was the merest amount of steering lock wrong that if he got that right...
on slicks in the wet conditions, which, I mean, how many people DNF'd because of the conditions as well. There were very few mechanical failures and
the conditions were so bad the V8 Supercars didn't even go out. I mean, they don't mind running in the rain, so it tells you that it was pretty bad. And the F1, the fastest sport in the world, was actually out there on the track, fastest lap times, not the drag racing speed, of course, because with all those people writing in. But at the end of the day, it's like the fastest cars in the world, and you're out there in the wet conditions, first time on that track, first race on that track, I should say. And practice and quality all means wonderful things, but it's the time to shine is when the...
Is that a Liam Lawson supporters T-shirt you're wearing? I mean, you've done a great job. And honestly, I think Liam's going to do really well. I think things are going to shake down again this year, and Liam's going to be the surprise package. Is really going to pay off. You mentioned V8 Supercars. Of course, they race in Melbourne as well. What's happening with the V8 Supercars? The things are going a bit weird. You got Triple Eight jumping to Ford. Then they said that KRE was going to do the deal with Ford engines, and then General Motors, who correct me if I'm wrong, the General's junking the Camaro, so Lord knows what's coming into that. But KRE have been called their only engine provider now. Yeah, it's getting a bit tight and a bit.
It's wild
tit
because
for tat stuff, isn't it?
It's wild because all the off-track action and politics and all that sort of stuff is one thing, but then the races that we had in over the weekend were actually pretty fantastic. I mean, races. Supercars are always treated a bit sort of second rate because Formula One's in town, so they're not the headline act, which is a rarity for them. Usually when they rock up to a race event, they're the reason that people are there, right? But with this one, I mean, they didn't even get to have the same pit lane. They had their little off-track easy ups and all their, tech sort of crammed into that.
Yeah, go and park over there.
Yeah, exactly. And it looked pretty rough too. Did you watch them coming in?
Horrible.
And the cars are bouncing like anything because it's all rough, unpaved, cracked,
Just answering what Nik was saying, I believe, and I haven't seen it confirmed, but I believe the change for the Camaro is going to be the Corvette. That's what the rumour is from Chev at the moment.
Makes sense. It's a two-door.
That's waiting for that to be confirmed.
Yeah, but doesn't that bugger up the whole Gen 3 thing? Because Corvette's engine in the back, don't they?
Well...
Are we going to have to change everything now? So it's going to be Ultima Corvettes versus GT40s.
The Ultima was supposed to be, they didn't have a V8 and they crammed a V8 into it, so I'm sure they can whip up a front-engine Corvette if they're really going to go down that route. And Toyota's
coming.
Yeah, and Toyota's coming.
Supra.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's something to look out for. And speaking of V8s, of course, they'll be hitting New Zealand April. Now... You two guys from Hooncorp last year, on YouTube, and if we can get a little bit of the footage up, would be awesome. There was the racetrack. Oh, sorry, it was the town to the track, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The cars actually, and you guys were lining the streets doing interviews with. There was a couple of crazy guys getting ready for it.
Well, on the way down, like going from the track to the town, it was really cool. We were lining so I did an interview, you did some footage, and that was all fine. No problem at all. It was all good. A little bit different on the way back. Nath was actually just filming away because we'd done the interviews. We thought, hey, all the buzz is over. We'll just watch them, and now we can just be a spectator and just really enjoy. Because we're petrol heads here.
Yeah,
we've got 650 horsepower going past times 22 cars, and I'm just sitting. So Nath's just sitting there, just filming away and sort of like scratching his bum at the same time, and sort of thinking, hey, this is pretty cool. Enjoying the sight. And then afterwards, you reviewed the footage, didn't you?
Yeah.
And because we saw this police car go past with all this. Excitement going on, but he wasn't just going past, was he?
No. There's a and I'm pretty sure that was the first time they'd trialled the whole track to town
in
formula.
New Zealand, yeah.
Well, outright. Because
really?
I'm pretty sure they've started because it's actually the GT3 cars that do the track to town for Bathurst, the 12-hour.
Yeah.
But the supercars themselves, I don't believe they'd done any prior to Taupo because Taupo was so well received that now they do them at pretty much every location,
everywhere,
right? That they can, obviously. But so they were trialing this format, I guess, and they had the police car in the front, then they had the safety car, the Porsche Taycan, with New Zealand number plates, I might add. So they registered them just for the purpose.
Electric car. Interesting.
But then they had all the supercars on entourage, and at some point, some way, somehow, this bogan in a whatever it was, a Colorado or something, had gotten into the convoy, and he'd done his own ripper burnout.
Mate, cool burnout.
The footage that I had was the guy, the cop that had intercepted him, trying to pull him over, pretty much 50 meters from where we were standing. So that was pretty interesting. I'm sure they put that one into the RAM report for the future tractor towns because it's an awesome format. I mean, you see some of the teams having a bit of a grumble about engine temperatures, and they run the cars too hot because they're obviously doing road legal speeds. They can't go much quicker, but the whole format, and for fans to be able to get so close to the cars, it's
that's the thing.
That is cool.
You not only got the footage of the burnout, of the smoke in the background, but as he's coming past us, you've got a video. You can actually slow it down and show the lovely New Zealand police pointing at the guy, hand out the window, pointing with the flashing lights on, you pull it, and he did. He pulled over past us.
Pull over, you bastard.
got a nice little ticket. So.
Oh man, we'll get the footage out for that one on a later one. That's awesome. Actually, Mike, your voice sounds a bit croaky there at the moment. Have you been shouting at I don't know, people going past?
Well, I was driving to your place, and of course, you got to yell and shout on New Zealand motorways.
Oh,
but
yeah.
A little bit busy on Saturday night with the at Waiuku Park with the North Island Stock Car Champs, and yesterday with the last points meet at Waiuku Dirt Track. I'll tell you, the Waiuku action was awesome. They had some phenomenal racing going. One thing about, and I know you're a Western Springs fan, you're the presenter at Western Springs.
More on that in a minute.
But the track surface there, I don't know what they do. It was fantastic, but the pace was on. I've never seen them before. They had flat track motorbikes. Now, these were like dirt bikes.
Yeah.
And they're lowered. Have you had them at Western Springs?
Supermotard is what you might want to think of. And if you may remember, Supermotard in Europe is some tarmac, and then there's a little bit of cross-country action with it as well.
Okay.
So they use those bikes because they've got the a little bit more travel in the spring, so you can lean it over a bit further and that sort of stuff.
They're like those guys that ride around on the roads without warrants and regos and plates. Like those sort of dirt bikes.
But better.
Oh, way better.
Yeah, way
most
better.
of them are KTM 450s.
Yeah, that's the sort of bike of choice. A couple of Suzuki's are pretty good in there as well, but they have got no brakes.
No. Man, I think they've got rear brakes. Oh, I stand corrected.
Yeah, they put one foot down on the ground. They hoon around. Not quite the Speedway solos, but
no.
Pretty crazy stuff.
And they were saying the way they were riding, they go up to the end of the wall. Is it the cushion? The mud that's right beside. I don't know much about speed. Even though I've been there for a long time, I don't really dive. I mean, you know every.
You're not the Mark Larkham of Speedway.
I don't know anything about Speedway. To be fair, but they were right up at the end of the wall of the mud, and I'm sitting there going, these guys are going to go up on the wall. It was that you could see them almost thinking about it around the concrete wall.
Well, we had them at Western Springs a couple of weeks ago, and one of them did exactly that.
You're kidding.
Start, finish straight, and he was in second place. Grabbed the wall coming out of turn 4 and rode the wall down to take the checkered flag.
To see that.
It was pretty impressive.
That makes
pretty
sense.
impressive.
See, the problem Problem with bikes is that I love the look of them, and I'd probably get really good at riding one, but I just know that I'd kill myself
Absolutely.
on one. Like,
Don't do it.
so,
Don't do it.
Only reason I stay over. The other class we had there as well as the stock cars was the LS1 sprint cars.
Oh, what were they like? Because
good.
there's a small house, and that's kind of like an upgrade from the 6-shooters, and they're making it cost effective.
Yeah,
by
they
putting
actually-
you just get a crate motor, LS1 crate motor.
Yep.
Pack it in the essentially a sprint car frame.
Yep.
And away you go.
Yeah, there's guys that have got brand new chassis. Is J&J, is it?
J&J
chassis. And he's got a brand new chassis, and he's got an LS in it, and he reckons the thing's like, I think it's like 15 grand or something for the whole lot, stock and barrel. And, you know, I mean, they're still slower than the 6-shooters, which surprised me because they sound awesome. And I said to the guys, look,
Teething
make it
troubles,
exciting,
mate.
put wings on them.
Teething
Make them look cool.
troubles.
But, you know,
Teething
like,
troubles.
make them look cool,
Yeah.
you know, because this whole wingless thing, I don't get it, but
Okay, let me give you a brief
All right.
history on the wingless thing.
Okay.
It's kind of like you're taking it back to its original spiritual home. You know, as sprint cars got quicker, they were looking for the wings to give them more downforce, particularly on the shorter tracks. But of course, in the States, they do tarmac racing as well with those similar frames, Silver Crown cars.
Right.
They don't use wings as much because they're running on asphalt, which is sort of gives them tons more grip. But there are people that know a hell of a lot more about it than I do, but that's basically my rough understanding of it. But I quite like the idea of the LS.
Yeah, they sound grouse. They've got a good exhaust system on them, and you know they certainly they get up and go well, but obviously they haven't quite got the speed through the corner without the wings sorted out. But you know, just put some wings on them, man. Make them like a Class 2 sprint car. They look awesome.
Would
what
you
a way
have
to
a
learn.
Class 2 sprint car?
Well, what a way to learn.
When
You've got the aero.
In the States, they have the 410 and 360 classes, don't they? And speaking of sprint cars, I was down in Kiki, which is another racetrack that you've worked at.
Yep. Cool little track.
It is a great little track, although had to start early on Friday because, people have houses next door.
Right.
And it was the Sprint Car Nationals. Now, it's a tight little track, great for midgets and TQs, and I actually thought to myself, that could be a little tight for some of those sprint cars. And to be honest with you, there were some guys having a bit of trouble out there. Jonathan Allard, Michael Pickens, two top guys, having a little bit of trouble getting to grips with it. Joel Myers Jr., who was the New Zealand number one, came over from the States, spending a bunch of weeks here, and he came specifically to tick this one off again because he wanted the one on the back. And his teammate, Max Guilford, who's been racing up in the States for quite a bit, and has turned into a real handy sprint car driver.
He's good. Yeah.
Turned over a couple of good meetings at Western Springs. Did the Springs Royale, where he took out the race there, and looking really good. And man, he was quick. Both Joel Myers Jr. and Max Guilford were super quick cars, and they were guys that were going up on the cush, as you say, up by the wall, flinging it around. And when it came to the major race on Saturday, which is what I missed,
Was it dusty?
it was real dusty.
Yeah. That's
real
the problem
dusty.
with Kiki.
Yeah, but the
struggle.
the top three, Max Guilford got away to a blinder, an absolute blinder. But coming around the field, chased really hard with Daniel Thomas. Daniel Thomas has been an ex-NZ number one, and he's a real hard charger. Joel Myers Jr. couldn't quite get the roll on, but Maxie, in the lead, spins the car, regains control without getting it off track, so no yellows, and then has to proceed to run down the three guys that have passed him.
Wow.
So on the last lap,
No easy.
last corner,
Yeah.
Max Guilford shot Daniel Thomas to take the New Zealand number one. If you get a chance to watch the footage of it, that is,
Yeah.
it's worth its weight in gold, that is. But Max Guilford won, Daniel Thomas number two, and Joel Myers Jr. from the States number three. Jonathan Allard, Michael Pickens, Jamie Larson, Rodney Wood, all missed out on the points. Connor Rangi from the South Island, those going good in the Dalton's car. Holy smokes, that's good. And looking forward to those guys coming into Western Springs. And that's what I want to talk about now, is the fact that it's Western Springs and it's the last one. You know, and there's a lot of talk and there's a lot of energy at the moment talking about the way the City Council has done it. And when you start to look at the facts and figures, there's got to be questions raised. There really does. But right now, right this very second, what we do know is the race on Saturday night is the final. We hope that something can be done in the future. There is also talk of us coming over to Waikaraka Park as well and racing there, and you know, with a fully refurbished track and facilities, which would be great. But it should be a ripper for the last one, so everybody's welcome to Western Springs.
And
for this weekend.
Yeah, no one wants to be in charge of the last one, though. That's the thing, Bruce, I've asked Bruce many a time over the year, and it's funny how this media never gets picked up. I've said to him at Waikaraka over the year, I've said, Bruce, did you take on Waikaraka Park, Western Springs to close it down and bring it to Waikaraka? He says, Mike, that cost me a lot of money to get Western Springs. He said, I haven't got my money back. He said, think about COVID. He says, think about the weather that we've had, the erosion of the hill and all that sort of stuff. Why would I do that? He said, I could fight tooth and nail and probably get a 25, 26 season going. He said, I think if I was lucky, I'd get 4, maybe 5 race meets.
And that's the issue.
Won't pay the bills.
With Western Springs where it is, like it's in the city. Nowhere in the world's got a racetrack in the city like Western Springs. And you're going to be hamstrung by rules and regulations around on how many meetings you can get. So it's always going to be tough.
It's going to become less and less.
And it's got to be about the future of the sport.
Yeah.
And if it means that, and you see, this is a big thing for me. If we've got Waikaraka Park, there's going to be opportunities to put the big tired cars on the track together. It doesn't matter whether it's a sprint car running a super modified, your super saloons, because they're not going to tear the track up like stock cars do. So stagger the meetings. Because what you do have at Waikaraka Park is the ability to fix the track. So when the stock cars rip and tear up, you've got a week before you're racing on it again, and we can make it perfect, and it'll be great for the big tired cars. But everyone's got to work together on that one.
Well, it's people have even raised the point that you could do a Friday night stock car night and a Saturday night, Springs night at Waikaraka, and vice versa.
Because you can prep the track.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the guys they've got there at the moment, they're not perfect, but by crikey, the track we had was primarily a stock car track. And then, of course, we had motorbikes going around there, and we had the wide-tired sprint cars. And I'm sitting there going, man, this is going to be a cluster. And it was a fantastic racing surface. I think I said at the end of the night, I'm pretty sure I did. I said, you could almost run go-karts on this.
Listen to his voice.
He's kidding.
My problem is Waiuku dirt track. They're absolutely annoying pain in the bum.
Why?
Group.
Hang on. No, I'm
they are.
going to back your track up. I'm going to back you up on that one. Let's talk about the grassroots aspect of Waiuku dirt track, because
Waiuku dirt track
is a huge place. I mean, always puts on great racing. It's really well run.
Yeah, but if they all just putted around and did nothing and it was boring, it'd be great. I'd have a voice left, and I'm absolutely knackered. This is like over 24 hours since.
So I should get out there and drive there.
They had
going slow again. Jeez.
They do 52 races. We start at 10 o'clock. We have like a 25-minute lunch break after race 26. We go right through race 51, which is the feature. We have what we call lefties, so saloons that turn left, and it can be saloons or supers combined. We have modifieds, lefty modifieds, because modifieds apparently don't turn right.
Of course, they've got to have their own category for the sheer speed of them.
Well, we don't have any modifieds now. We've got sprint cars that have turned up, because they're sitting there going, dude, this is R&D. And then yesterday we had a Brett Parsons in a modified 69H, and he comes out, so you got one sprint car, and you've got one modified and 4 sprint cars, and we've got these are good drivers. Like this is like Jason Battersby. He's really an up and comer. He's got some skills. And Robbie Allen's been doing it forever. Mike Fisher, John Fisher's got a Mike Pickens replica midget. Like he's an absolute down to the last. It's just they really.
But it's not the same one.
No, it's not the same one. But it's a to the last thing's replica. And so run these guys, and so Parsons goes out there, and he should be getting absolutely cream. Well, mate, he drove the wheels off it. And just a side note, about 5 or 6 weeks ago, the then 1NZ modified driver Brad Lane turned up at Waiuku, and mate, he put in an awesome. He won his first race. He was miles off the pace in the second and third because the track went away. He set up, and this is what they do. They come and set up for a slick track, and this is a great testing thing for them. And they give him a feature, 10 lapper at the end. And he won the feature against Sprint. I mean, they were right up his bum fighting over him. But anyway, so the whole day went particularly well. It was their last points race meet of the season. And there's a demolition derby in a couple of weeks' time on the 6th of April.
Love demo derbies.
Oh, mate. Yeah. I reckon if you turn up, I reckon I can make things happen and get your...
Mate, it wouldn't even have to get on the track for me to demo a car, mate. I just jump in it, bloody thing falls apart. But, I mean, and before anyone gets up and says, well, what about our racetrack? Well, let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know what's happening at your racetrack, because, and I'm pretty sure about this, every weekend, somewhere in New Zealand, there's some kind of motorsport, whether it's motocross or it's speedway or it's a major event. but there is some kind of motorsport. It might just be karting, you know.
I see those posts from, is it Motorsport New Zealand, and they'll do, here's what's on this weekend, and there's racing here in Levels, and there's racing here at Hampton, and that's obviously, that's all the stuff that Motorsport New Zealand does, which is great.
Yep.
But there's so much more to it than just what they put on. There's, like you say, there's the Speedway, there's all the other sort of promoters and categories and grassroots and entry level and all that sort of thing. You're probably not wrong. Every weekend there is something automotive going on in New Zealand because we're just such a motorsport-minded country.
And on that note, because we're getting close to wind-up time, Hooncorp next weekend has an event that you can come along to, right? Yep. So just quickly, is there anything like, do I have to have a roll cage and all that sort of stuff?
No, it's run what you brung in the true form of the word. Last year, our last event, we did the first event this year, this weekend, and we had a guy that had run a car in a demolition derby and broken his steering. So Chase Otto, mad as a hatter, in a Safiro. We run 35 to 40 cars, and he repaired the steering, and I think it was a train wreck. He put a windscreen in it somehow, duct taped it back in, and got the doors. It was all safe and up to speed and everything, and went out and came fifth out of 38 cars.
Because I will say there are safety regulations that
of course, common sense applies. Yeah. Like your wheel nuts are tight, your battery's secure, your seatbelts work. I mean, obviously there are guys that, like you say, as demo derby cars, some guys bring their street stocks. We've had street stocks before in the past, and they've had a few hits there and there, but structurally and from a driving point of view, they're perfectly fine.
Yep.
And you throw some of the footage up online, and I've seen some pretty cool cars turn up, not necessarily for competition purposes, but it's an opportunity to show off what you got.
Yeah, there is father and son drive, share a Skyline, the Molyneux, and they're always doing well. They're getting better and better. They're commonly in the top 10 now on a regular basis. Yeah. Andrew came third.
They're gunning. He's gunning for the win.
It's a 350 GT road car for crying out loud.
Yeah, six-speed manual, big white thing. Like you'd swear it was heavy and but they really drive it to within 10 tenths. And and then, like you say, all you got to do is walk around the pits and you see dirt track cars, street cars, race cars, muscle, classics, basically any...
It's like a car show.
It's such a melting pot.
With an event to play your car out in front of people, just for a little bit of fun. So when is it? Where is it? How much?
It's this weekend. It's the 23rd of March. It's $99 to drive. We've got 8 spots left. We've got other people saying they come, but they've not paid.
At the time of recording, obviously.
At the time of recording.
First info. So we're not holding spots for anybody anymore. No. You got to pay your entry, because in the past we've, we'll fix you up on Tuesday, sweet as, and then they never do. No. And, you got other people.
Carry the baby.
Yeah, so.
And roll cage for passengers. So if you have a roll cage, you can take a passenger. If your car doesn't have a roll cage, these are the tracks rules. Have to wear a helmet and overalls. It doesn't have to be race overalls, good mechanic overalls, but no holes in them. And other than that, run what you brung, really.
And before anyone goes, you've got to pay $99. That helps take care of the safety aspect of it.
Mate, that's covering costs, and even then we sometimes have to prop up that last little bit with us. But it's just about Hooncorp's been going for 35 years now. And
you don't look that old.
He's not.
Hooncorp's been going, not me, but the goal and the aim has always been cheap, affordable, accessible motorsport events where you get maximum track time. We used to hire out Pookie, and Pookie was not expensive to hire 15 years ago. And just, like these Autokhanas, the reception that you saw, there'd be guys with their Super Tourers, there'd be guys with their brand new, back then, Evo Lancers and Mazda MX-5s, and there was always that one crowd of Japanese guys that all rolled together, and they had the latest Japanese toys, race cars, utes.
We had a guy with a drag racing funny car asked if he could run his engine, do a display down the front straight during the lunch break at one of the Pookie days. It was so cool. But that got expensive, and then it obviously doesn't happen anymore, and we can't do it with Hampton. It's just not a grassroots minded place, unfortunately. So
that's right, and that's kind of what this is all about. The Track Lounge is all about getting you informed about grassroots motorsport and how you can get involved and what's coming up. And if you've got an event that you think we should know about and talk about, and maybe talk to you about, then get in touch.
And if you've got a topic you want us to talk about as well, because there's a few brain cells between us. We can sort of discuss bits and pieces and how-tos, and if you want to know just how easy it is to get into motorsport and racing. I mean, lemons especially. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about lemons in the future.
That's a whole book by itself.
There's a whole
and what Mega Motorsport have got lined up for that, but we'll talk about that.
That's another episode. But yeah,
plus,
for now,
plus drivers, drivers that we know that are pretty up there that people will know the names of, and including the sim world, just about every good New Zealand and a lot of Australian sim drivers and racers and people that have and are still doing, in that field. We've got some team owners and people sort of lined up for interviews, and track promoters are happy to have a buzz in or potentially come in here as well and have a bit of a chat. And we're certainly throwing out there that grassroots is alive and well, but also structured racing. If people want to be involved in they want to learn about what happens in a race team. We know a lot of people are always saying, hey, look, you can come and swing some spanners, or you can stand in the corner, you can go and clean the floor. And what way to learn is to actually be part of it. So,
the best way is to get involved is to actually get involved, and that's what it's all about here. We'll catch you back next time. Hooncorp, Mike and Nathan, thank you so much. I'm Nik Brown. We'll do this again.